You want to check out my pen collection? It's upstairs. Sorry, why do I look like this? Well, today we're going to be talking about Dandy Turquoise, but before we do that, I have to draw a winner for last week's Inkcyclopedia, where you could win this bottle of Private Reserve Shoreline Gold. I've counted all the comments we got, and yes, not just on the site, there were a few on YouTube. I've counted those as well. Facebook, everything was included. I've drawn a random number, and the winner is, it wasn't about the quote. The quote was just something that made you enter. I didn't choose the funniest quote. I told you it would be a random drawing. The winner is Stone, and his quote was, "A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to." Stone, please let me know your address. sbrebrown@fpgeeks.com. Send me an email, and I'll send you this. Yes, it's not just an empty bottle, and yes, there is some type of mold on the cover, I'm afraid. Sorry. But the bottle is fine, the ink is fine, there's no sediments or anything. You'll get this. A little bit has already leaked out, but that's okay. I mean, it's pretty much, you can see it, it's pretty much a full bottle, and it's yours. So, don't forget to contact me. Now, we have to talk about Dandy Turquoise. Dandy Turquoise is one of the Writer's Edition inks. It's a limited edition ink. It's made to accompany this pen, which is a very sweet pen, and it is made to honor this fellow, Honore de Balzac. And Honore de Balzac was a French author. I'm not going to give you the entire history of the man. It's in a little booklet, and I'm pretty sure you may get one of these at some point. It's very nice ink. Very lovely quote in there. You live twice. Once in reality, the second time in memories. Beautiful. Think about it. Think about how many people you remember that are maybe no longer here. I find that a very, very fascinating quote. Now, they have this sort of spotted, stained thing going on the booklet. Same thing happened on the box. It's like ink is everywhere. I find it beautiful. It's sort of watercolor thing. I'm sure it's supposed to look like ink. And Dandy Turquoise honors Honore de Balzac, who apparently was a bit of a dandy and dressed like a dandy. So, hence my dandy outfit. Now, here we got the ink, 35 milliliters. This bottle was very kindly donated by Appelboom, Joost Appelboom from Appelboom Pennen. Check them out. And the funniest thing is, you can win a bottle, not this bottle, a whole new, brand spanking new bottle of the ink. I'm going to tell you how in a second. It's a turquoise ink, very nice, 35 milliliters, very lovely. I was really surprised by this one. Jonathan Swift, it's a nice green, but I don't really use it. This bottle is going to be drained pretty quickly because it's a fantastic ink, gorgeous shading. I absolutely love it. And that's all I'll say about the ink. It's a nice bottle. It has the little Montblanc star. You know this stuff. Montblanc makes high-end stuff. It looks very nice, very cool. And that's all there's to it. Now, how do you win this stuff, eh? Well, it's very simple. You have to add a comment to this post on the website. And you have to describe your ultimate dandy outfit. Oh yeah. Not that you can ever top this, because this is, I mean, this makes people swoon if I just show up like this, right? See? There we go. Now, having said that, I want to read about your favorite dandy outfit. You're going to put that in a comment. You're going to be selected at random. I'm just going to generate random numbers. I'm going to pick one winner. Or if you excessively amuse me, maybe that is enough to get you picked. I don't know. I have to decide on that. You will know that you have won because you will be announced in the next Inkcyclopedia entry. That means you have until Sunday, the 25th, to submit your comment, because by then I'll shoot the next entry, and that's all there's to it. So I have to know by then. And that's it. I think that was more than enough for an introduction. What we are going to do now is have a look at Montblanc Honoré de Balzac. Have fun, because I know that I will. And why don't you go upstairs and wait until I have slipped into something more comfortable. Alors, mes amis, aujourd'hui, Montblanc Honoré de Balzac. The quick fox jumps over the lazy dog. Medium. I'm not going to do all of this in a French accent. Although it's tempting. But I shan't. Now, I'm usually fairly enthusiastic about the inks I review, but this one I think is truly stunning. I absolutely love this turquoise. It flows well. It has gorgeous shading, which I'm quite impressed by. It's a lovely ink. I just love the color. It's always a question of how much and how well the camera picks this up. But this one I'm a huge fan of. Metallic. And finally, flex. And then I think we should start with our passes. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Now this is actually sort of 2 passes, right? I'll do another one just below it. Because otherwise people are going to say, that is actually 2 passes, you cannot do that, etc. So now you know. Okay. Well, while we are waiting, we may as well do a couple of tests. First of all, I think we should do a bit of fat writing. This is a very fantastic letter. Character started out as Old English and now is turned into something that is nothing, really. It was supposed to be an H, but now it is awesome. There you go. Okay, bit of writing. Let's see how we're doing for the passes. 6 days before the feast of Passover. There we go. This is still wet. That's dry. And if that is dry, that means we can have a look at our dear friend, the bastard brush. Okay. And then there is that moment you've all been waiting for. The Tardif Test. That's how we do it in my neighborhood. Look at that magnificent blue. Now this is a gorgeous, gorgeous ink. And you know what I'm going to do next? I'm building a buffer because it's time for the one and only Brown benchmark. And I have to say, I like that benchmark. Looks good to me. Okay, look at how beautiful that is. Oh, beautiful benchmark. Okay, how are we doing there? Yeah, I think that's good enough. I think we can have a look at the eyedropper of death. Okay. Well, I think we need a third pass. On Monday, I always shoot this on Sunday. People always ask me on Monday, what is that? Well, it's because I was doing a brown benchmark, you see. Excuse me? Never mind. People like you wouldn't understand. Anyway, what have we got? A beautiful ink, turquoise. I love the shading. You can see from these passes how it goes from a very nice blue to a much darker blue, but it's vibrant is the very word. I just love the way it looks. You see, it's not the most waterproof of inks. You can still read some of the writing, but it definitely runs. In the Tardif Test, you see this beautiful shading yet again. The brown benchmark, well, nobody really knows what it does, but it's funny. And then we have the fat writing, and as you can see, that is, well, I was going to say pretty much eradicated, but you do actually still see the shape. So I wouldn't call this the most waterproof of inks, but it is definitely not terrible either. And I think we can start to work on our scorecard. Let's start with cleaning. Yes, I did that on purpose. You can hardly read it. I've put it in other pens. I've cleaned them out before. There were no issues whatsoever. Bleed through. Something we'll have to check later after we've done a copier paper test. The color, well, I don't know, but I would say it's turquoise. And then we have the shading. And shading is something we'll have to judge later. Flow. Well, this ink goes with the flow. It's excellent. We have feathering. Have to check that later. We have drying time. It's a pretty wet ink, but it's not terrible. Even on rhodia paper, it does actually dry. You see, this is already dry. It dries fairly quickly, I would say. Not instantly as some inks, but waterproofness, well, something in the middle, I suppose. And I think that is the demarcation point where we actually start to have a look at copier paper. And let me just grab an ink cloth there, because the benchmark wreaks havoc on my poor Rhodia pad. There we go. Alright. My little plastic thingy that I like putting under things. Where did it go? Well, it's not here. I'll just use a bit of blotting paper. Just put it the other way around. I'm just trying to make sure I don't get any oil from my skin on the paper, that's all. Let's start with fine. Oh, I'm still sniffing, sorry. Okay. Now, considering the utter disaster that was the H earlier, maybe we should go for something else now then. B for Balzac. There we go. So what do we got here then? Obviously same color, more absorbent paper, and I see feathering in the broad range. Look at that. There's feathering. Yeah, there's definitely feathering at the wetter spots, like the X, which has a double crossing, whatever you like to call that. And with the flex, definitely feathering. So, there's an S in there. Yeah, now we go to the really broad nibs, and that is definitely a lot of feathering too. There is nothing here that shows me there is no feathering. I mean, definitely in the wetter spots, but pretty much everywhere I see quite a bit of feathering. So if you're using this on cheaper paper of this kind, then bear in mind that wetter pens, even a simple broad nib, can definitely make the ink feather. As to bleed through, quite profound in the broad nib, the flex nib, definitely in the really wide nib, very broad nib. In italic I see bleed through, in medium I see quite some bleed through, and in fine I don't really. Now when we turn to the Rhodia paper, which is of course a bit nicer, no bleed through whatsoever. except on 3 passes with a 6mm near brown benchmark, etc. So in all, I would say that it's not such a bad ink when it comes to bleed through, but on more absorbent papers you're definitely going to see it. So no full marks, but it's not terrible either. If you're using Rhodia paper, etc., then you know it's better. Feathering, I would say too as well. And the shading, why didn't I grade shading? I wouldn't give this a 1. It's not an excessive shader, but there definitely is nice shading going on, so I give that 2 points too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Inkage. Okay, now the final thing we have to do is try and come up with an ink that is a bit like it. Well, in the turquoise range there is quite a lot to choose from, but my favorite turquoise is one that I'd like to show you here. I've used that in quite a my pen review videos. What we have here is that Montblanc Honoré de Balzac, which has some nice flexibilities and it has a nice color. And then, oh, here's that plastic thing, I'd lost it. Then what I have here to compare it to is Ackermann Trèves Turquoise. That used to be my favorite turquoise. And as you see here, it is very similar to the Balzac ink. In fact, I would find it hard to see a lot of differences, except that this Trèves Turquoise seems to be maybe a little bit darker. Just a little bit, but that's a very tiny bit. So, and just to be sure, Ackermann, because I know that whenever I mention them, everybody likes their bottles. The bottles are indeed very cool, because you trap the ink and then you have the ink in the neck. You can only get these from Ackermann. No, there are no shops in the US that carry them. No, you cannot get them at pen shows. You can get them from Ackermann. That's all. There is no other option. So, feel free to send me questions about where else you could get them. The answer is always the same. It's only Ackermann, because they only sell their own ink and they don't sell it to others for resale. So, there you have it. This was the review of Montblanc Honoré de Balzac. I hope you liked it. I absolutely love this ink. And I hope you win the bottle. Good luck. And I'll see you later. Bye bye.